The last and final year of Classroom of the Elite had already started, but so far we have not yet seen any remarkable action from Koenji, who was teased to be someone who is equal to, or even stronger than Ayanokoji. Koenji is not alone in this matter. Ishigami, Tsubasa, and also Hiyori have been teased to play a bigger role in the future, and the first volume of the third year arc already made it clear that they had started to take action. However, there are a few characters who were introduced as promising characters, but are not yet getting their time to shine. Since this is the final year, and their quote from the third year website update sounds promising, we could probably hope that the third year arc would fix their character from the second year arc. So, let's take a look at them one by one. Let's start with Himeno, since a lot of people already forget about her. As a reminder, Himeno is a student from Ichinose's class who doesn't like her class situation, because she believes the power of friendship is not going to bring them anywhere. She got a quite interesting perspective compared to the rest from Ichinose's class, but since she got paired up with Kanzaki, their plan was doomed to fail. However, according to her quote from the newest update from the third year website, she said that she is raising her voice. She hasn't been able to do it until now, but she is sure she can do it now. I think this single quote is enough proof to say that the revolution inside Ichinose's class is still alive. While I have lost all hope for Kanzaki, Himeno has somehow proven that she could still raise her voice despite facing against majority. However, the reason why Himeno raising her voice is confusing, because since the cooperation with Ayanokoji's class, Ichinose's class has returned to the battlefield. While it's not exactly what Himeno wanted, at least their class had shown some progress. And yet, if Himeno needs to raise her voice, there must still be something wrong with their class, and I think it has something to do with Ichinose. If we take a look at Amikura's quote, she somehow give advice to Ichinose to prioritize her high school life even more, and not solely focus on aiming for Class A. Since Amikura is Ichinose's best friend, and since everyone in the class already knows that Ichinose likes Ayanokoji, it's easy to think that a lot of her friends will push Ichinose to prioritize her happiness. After all, Class D is more like Ichinose's cult instead of a class. The reason why Himeno raising her voice is probably because her classmates have gone too far in supporting Ichinose's love life, and neglecting the top priority of reaching Class A. I think this kind of possibility suits well with how we got introduced to Himeno, where the girls from Ichinose's class tried to set her up with Ayanokoji, but Himeno was only there because she cannot refuse, but this time let's hope she could really refuse the force of Ichinose. I don't think one voice from Himeno could change anything, and that's why she's going to need Kanzaki and Hamaguchi. Even though Kanzaki's performances are really disappointing, Kinugasa really needs to do something with him, so all the wasted pages are at least worth something. And this is also a good chance to bring Shibata to the story, since he probably still holds a feeling for Ichinose. Making sure Ichinose wouldn't date Ayanokoji is probably good for his heart. While Himeno has the potential to change her class, Matsushita also has the same potential to help the class. Matsushita is one of the most wasted potentials in this series, because she chose to hide her capability, and never show it to anyone, even to the readers. However, since her ability got exposed in the previous volume, it seems Kinugasa doesn't forget about her, and actually has some plan for her. If we take a look at her quote from the third year website, she said that they need to prevent the expulsion, and only he knows who will be eliminated next. Expulsion aside, her words sound like an advice, and since there are only a few characters she could talk with that much intensity, she's probably giving that advice to Horikita. Since Horikita recently gathering new members in her harem to fight Ayanokoji, Matsushita could probably join Horikita's harem. So far Horikita is the only one in her class who know about Matsushita's capability, and if Matsushita want to keep it that way, she could secretly give advice to Horikita and still hide in the shadows, just like what Ayanokoji used to do. I don't expect much from Matsushita, because the role of Horikita's savior is already reserved for Koenji, but it will be nice if she does something out of the box to prove all that confidence is not just a baseless fantasy. The next character who could probably have an important role in the third year arc is Utomiya. Since Utomiya is the least developed new student, it's very easy to forget about him. However, least developed means there is still a lot of room to explore. From what we have known about Utomiya, he is supposed to be a very skilled fighter, but so far where he got it or what he wanted to do with it is still a mystery. If we look at Utomiya's quote from the third-year website, he said that he has no interest in Ayanokoji, but someone broke the promise with him to talk about Ayanokoji. While the one who speaks with Utomiya could be anyone, so far the only person who has meaningful and secret contact with him is just Ishigami when they make a plan to expel Yagami from school. And if we are talking about Ishigami, there will be a lot of possibilities that could tie Utomiya with Atsuomi and Ayanokoji. Utomiya is a skilled fighter, while Ishigami has a very weak physical ability but a brilliant mind, so their combination seems unnecessarily good. Utomiya has a connection with Tsubaki, and Tsubaki somehow has a connection with Ayanokoji and the White Room, so Utomiya's sudden involvement is not going to be a forced plot in the future. As for Ishigami, since he is most likely guaranteed to have an important role in the future, what he wants to do and who he will take on his quest could have a wild variety of characters. And Ishigami's plot could even make the second-year characters relevant again in the story. Other than Utomiya, Ichika is also guaranteed to play a more major role. It's been hinted that Atsuomi is now holding Yagami hostage, and since Ishigami has a connection with Atsuomi, and is also involved in Yagami's expulsion, there is a good chance involving Ichika is already part of Ishigami and Atsuomi's bigger plan. Ichika cannot leave Yagami thanks to their sibling-like relationship, and since Ichika is arguably the best student in school after Ayanokoji, she will hold tremendous value as a weapon. We should have known that a happy ending is too good to be true when it's involving the White Room and Atsuomi, so Ichika will most likely do everything that Atsuomi orders her to do, and return to the White Room after she graduates from high school. However, if we look at her quote from the third-year website, she is asking Ayanokoji if he would take care of her if she could graduate without a problem. That single line from her somehow told us that Ichika has a vision where she could live freely in the future. She is probably just being optimistic, or since it's been hinted that Ichika has some kind of plan in the previous volume, maybe she actually believes she could take care of Atsuomi and win over her freedom. Ichika could become a double-edged sword depending on who is wielding her, and since she is a hardcore fan of Ayanokoji, the chance of her siding with Ayanokoji is more likely to happen. Or since she probably knows what Ayanokoji's actual goal is, Ichika could even side with Horikita and support her to defeat Ayanokoji. Horikita and Ichika already shared some kind of connection, and it's not impossible for Horikita to accept her help if her classmates' lives are at risk. The point is, it will be a real waste to just let Ichika wander around without a purpose. She is full of potential, and she could even still be relevant in the future since she is a White Room student. That's why what Ichika will do or which side she will choose could change the course of the story to a certain degree, but the most important thing is, I just hope she could be happy no matter how hard the future seems to be.